Hello and welcome to From Shambles to Shambhala with Peter and Zia. We started this process back on the 11/11/2019 when we hosted a show on the Awake TV network which we called From Shambles to Shambhala. And the intention for us was to take the current time of chaos and scatteredness of what's going on in the world back then, with our understanding of this leading to some wonderful outcome. Little did we know what was going to happen next, and during the series of shows the whole pandemic issue arose. We completed that series and now have decided to continue doing YouTubes every once in a while when we feel it's the right time. And this is our second one. Our first one a month ago went really well, and thank you to all of those that contributed on YouTube, and also with some photographs which we'll look at later. So we're in this really interesting time, May the 20th, 2020. So we've got this numerology of the 20, and when I looked up the gene keys for the day, which I often do with May 20th, it turned out that on this very day it was the 20th gene key that was going to be illuminated by the sun. So there was this incredible synchronicity with this number 20, and there are many other aspects to today and the next few days that we're going to talk about in this YouTube. So the gene keys has become a central aspect to the work that we do. It's this wonderful process where we can gain access to our own genetic code and shift the frequencies out of the shadow frequencies, our conditioning and where we get triggered, and bring them up into the gift frequency where we can live our life in peace, harmony, joy, and hopefully a shift into the highest essence, the divine essence of each of the 64 gene keys, which correspond to the 64 codes. So the 20th gene key, the one that's being illuminated starting today for the next 5 days, is the gene key of the shadow of superficiality, and the highest essence is presence. And that is the title of our show today, because we really want you to understand what's happening energetically around you and how you can best manage the circumstances that you find yourself in. So on Friday we have the new moon in Gemini at just 2 degrees, back to that number 2. And so today the sun actually moves out of Taurus, the earth sign, into Gemini, the air sign. So there's this updraft, this energy of uplift from the earth up into the air. And on the new moon on Friday there are going to be 6 planets in what are called the mutable signs. There are 4 planets in Gemini: the sun, the moon, Mercury and Venus. And then there are 2 planets in Pisces, Mars and Neptune. So mutability means it's all about change. It's the free-flowing energy. It's adaptability, flexibility. And then at the same time, there are 5 planets in the air signs, the same 4 in Gemini, and then Saturn in Aquarius. So this is a really up and out energy, very dreamy, very out there, very extra world, if you like, which ties in precisely with that 20th gene key of superficiality, because the superficiality keeps you up and out of your body. So the Gemini energy is like the buzzing of the bees. It's the scattered energy that takes you up and out. It's like the Kundalini energy rising and taking you up out of your body, but then you're so out of your body that you're not fully present in this moment. And this is where we need to look into this very carefully. We also, I want to talk a little bit about the so-called star seeds, because in our work with the gene keys we often come across those people who believe that they've come from the star systems, and being in this physical body is extremely demanding for them, and they want to spend their time out and often want to go home, even back to their star system. And unfortunately that's missing the point of being here on the planet. The reason that we're here is to fully embody and fully ground our energy in. And if you can imagine that constriction that takes place coming in from this expanded out there star system world, and then having to condense yourself down into this physical form, can be very challenging. And typically those people have great difficulties with their feet and their hands, the extremities, and their kidneys, because they never fully incarnated into their bodies in the first place. So what you're being invited to do, all those starseeds, is to really embrace your experience being here on planet Earth and fully grounding yourself down. In addition to this, last week, 3 of the major planets went retrograde in their motion, which means relative to Earth they appeared to be moving backwards. And those 3 planets were Saturn, Venus and Jupiter. And when planets are in retrograde motion, we're being asked to review, re-evaluate, reconsider, retreat even into ourselves to really dig into what those planets represent. Saturn is all about our inner structure, the way in which we operate in the world, our modus operandi. So we're being asked to review that to see if in fact we're living the life that we're here to live through our internal structure, and does that need to shift and change, dissolve and build a new structure. Venus is all about our values and our personal relationships. So we're being asked to review and look back into those relationships and what we truly value in our lives. And then Jupiter is all about our expansion into this new world. So now that energy is asking us to look at ourselves and what is restricting us from expanding ourselves out into this higher frequency, higher awareness. What is limiting us to be able to set ourselves free? So I'm urging you at this time to really ground your energy down and in, to earth your energy. And we are in this last day of Taurus, right down in the earth, in this beautiful forest that we are in. And you can see there's this cave right beside me. And so what we're wanting to do is to really ground our energy in, down into our physicality, into our being. And that superficiality of the 20th gene key is all about not fully grounding ourselves into form. And the city of presence is all about being fully present in our bodies. And at the end of that gene key, Richard Rudd, who is the founder of the whole gene key process, talks about the soundless sound of the tome of Om. And that's where we're going to go next.
Hi, it's Sia here, and I'm actually in the cave. Peter was at the mouth of the cave, and I'm actually deep inside the cave at the very end. And I just thought it would be beautiful if I could come in here, and we're talking about earthing and grounding at this time as we move into Gemini from earth into air. And there's no better place, I feel, to find presence than deep inside Mother Earth herself. And so I would just feel called to guide us through a little bit of toning with the crystal bowl and just moving into that deep sense of presence, moving deep into our bodies and into that relaxed state. And then just having a moment of silence at the end of it and just allowing ourselves to sink as deeply into presence as we possibly can. Okay, so just take a moment to settle into wherever you are. And I'm just going to set this light up here. There's a little nook up here where I can put my flashlight. There we go. And yes, just close our eyes for a moment and you can visualize yourself in the cave with me. And it's just a tiny little space. It's just wrapped. The beautiful rock is just wrapped all around me. I can feel its energy holding me. I can see my breath. It's just magical. And just, deep breathing. Settling in and just really bringing our consciousness down from our heads, all that busyness, into our hearts. And even further now down into the solar plexus and down in behind the navel, breathing into that space, and that beautiful one point that joins us with all of creation. And just allowing ourselves into the presence and allowing the presence to come in to our whole being through the beautiful sound of the crystal bowl. And this is in the key of F, which is the heart. Bless you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
So now we've gone from the cave right down in the womb of Mother Earth in the sign of Taurus, and now we've come to the top of the mountain. So on this day, May 20th, the sun moved out of the earth sign of Taurus and moved up into the air sign of Gemini. So for those of us who love to go flying out of our bodies, this is the ideal opportunity to do that. However, what is really required is for us to get fully present in our bodies. But before we go into that, I just want to show you this incredible object, which is a cinnabar orb, because Mercury, the planet Mercury, and the energy of Mercury is the energy that oversees the sign of Gemini. It rules Gemini. And Mercury energy is the trickster energy, and this is a cinnabar orb. And the cinnabar orb is a trick in itself. It contains mercury sulfide, which is cinnabar, which is just as toxic as mercury. And you can see here that I'm holding it, and it is created through the trick. And the cinnabar is injected into the molten quartz, which is the colourless part of the sphere, such that the outer edge is quartz, so it's totally safe, and the inner is the cinnabar. And the cinnabar is a toxin and therefore acts homeopathically to mop up the toxins within the body. It's a beautiful object, and people love to hold it down in their womb space and allow all the toxins that we've gathered through our life and let it flow out into this beautiful object, this cinnabar orb. So now I want to talk about the city of the 20th gene key, which is presence. And there are two aspects to the presence. There's time and space. So what we want to become very aware of is whenever we have a tendency for our thoughts to drift off into the past or the future. Now if you're doing that deliberately because you're planning something or because you're reflecting upon some past event, that's fine. But in your day-to-day life, You want to become very aware of when your thoughts are drifting off to the past or into the future. And you want to bring them back into the present moment, into the now moment, and be present in this moment now. That's the one element. The other element is in space. And this is about the full embodiment of your consciousness down as deep in your body as you can go. And when Richard Rudd was asked the question, what's the best route to enlightenment? He answered, how deep down can you go into your body? And so this presence is about fully embodying your higher self or divine consciousness, whatever you want to call it, and bringing it down fully into your body, right down into the base chakra, right down into the tips of your toes and the tips of your fingers, and feeling every aspect of your being from within the body. And this next couple of weeks is going to be challenging as we go through this uplift into Gemini, into the scattered buzzing bees around the head and busyness. So become aware of when you are getting really busy and just try and slow down and settle. And ultimately the most important thing to do is to relax. Relax down into your body and just have this deep and knowing trust that all is in divine order. There is a divine plan and everything is going to work out exactly the way that it should, so long as we allow it to unfold naturally and easily and go along with that plan and relax deeply into our being. And that presence, Richard would say, is the most important gene key of the 64 for getting fully grounded and present in our bodies. So I hope you are able to do that through this process and by watching this YouTube. If you want to connect with any of us, Richard Rudd's genekeys.com is his website. Zia's website is dreamingnewyeden.com, and my website is petertung.com. And we hope you've enjoyed this YouTube, and we're going to finish with my little grandson Bryn, who goes into this pose when he goes off into the landscape, into nature, on a regular basis, and no further words are necessary, I don't think. It explains it all, but it's a wonderful example of presence.